Hey there, teenagers. If you are a Gen Z or a Gen Alpha and are exploring career options, then you are in the right place. Welcome to my channel, Future Ready Tools. Our guest today, Tabitha Vinu, has taken the non traditional approach. Welcome, Tabitha, and thank you for sparing the time to talk to us about your career choice.
First of all, let me say I am very thankful and grateful to you for joining the session and agreeing to participate in this chat, even though it's too late for you. So thank you very much for that.
No, thank you for this opportunity. I appreciate it.
Great. So where are you right now, Tabitha?
I'm currently in Vancouver, BC. I'm a little outside at my parents' place in Langley right now. But yeah, I live in Vancouver.
Okay, okay. So what is your schedule like?
Right now I work 10 hours a week for as a bat research technician, where I do some data acoustic processing for a master student. So that's what I'm doing right now. And then I'm trying to learn other hobbies and fill out of time by finding another job as well. But that's on the side right now. But usually
Okay.
it's usually work, work, work.
Okay, great. And what do you do and why did you choose to do what you do?
Currently, I'm a bat research technician, as I said before, and I work trying to figure out where bats live in a city environment. So all summer we were capturing bats and tagging them and trying to find them. I have some pictures. So yeah, these are the little guys that I work with, little bats. So we go around the city netting for them, and we take them out of the net, weigh them. Yeah, this is like how a night goes. All these bags have a bat each. Um, and then we put little tags on them and we release them into the city, try to track them later on in the day and just give an idea of how many bats are in the city and how we can preserve them and increase biodiversity within a city, because human is part of nature and we just need to do that reintegration back. So that's what I do right now. But this all started when I was really young and I really was fond of animals and everything to do with animals. Used to volunteer at shelters, volunteer in adoption days, whatnot. And my parents were all for it too. So, you know, it just keeps going like that. It kept on. I wanted to be a vet when I was really young, but I realized that I wanted to do more than just be a vet and deal with domestic animals. So I turned into wildlife conservation and I went into forestry. So I just finished my forestry degree in December. I'm graduating in May. And so before I got into bat research, I was actually doing forestry out in the field looking at animals, bugs. You can see there's little cavities here and little bugs everywhere. And usually I work in a very outdoor setting, hiking, planting, eating strawberries, driving a lot, and sometimes doing not the beautiful work and unloading reefers. But I I just found that I really like doing a job that doesn't involve being at a desk all day and have me learning more every day. We have to move as a society rather than trying to figure out how to do any other like business or organization. It was just not my interest, and I decided that I have to do something that makes me happy at the end of this. Yeah, other than that, I don't really know. I was just very geared when I was really young. I found an interest and I guess kept to it and try to figure everything out one step at a time, because forestry is not exactly the best way to going to wildlife conservation, but sticking with something, getting it done, and finding a way from there is always a good way to do it. And this is what I do right now. I'm trying to like figure out these are bat calls, and I look at recordings and label which ones are bats and which ones are not. And yeah, that's what I do right now.
Great and very exciting, and something really very different from what somebody would choose, like going into computers or going into finance or going into completely into IT or interiors. What you've chosen is completely different. So all your
Mhm.
friends are doing something different, and you are the only one who is kind of moved into this line of study.
Yeah, pretty much everybody from school I remember and I know are usually in engineering or in science, neuroscience, psychology, something like that. So it's pretty different from everybody else, that's for sure. But it's kind of nice. You always have a story to tell, you know? Sometimes it's
Yeah,
nice to be someone standing out.
true. It's a really lovely story, very inspiring. And I think it all stemmed from your passion, right? So you had a passion for the animals, and you helped out when you were young, and that is how you ended up here. But why bats?
Well, it just happened, to be honest. But I decided to keep sticking with bats because I thought that there was a lot of research going with large carnivores that are charismatic. There's so much research, and there's very little research done with small mammals. And so bats just seemed like a really good option for me. It's a really small niche, not many people researching it. And it's an important animal altogether because they are the ones who do pest control in fields and many like hidden ecological services that we tend to forget. So I just got really interested in bats, and they're fairly intelligent species, and it's kind of crazy because you can't put a net up the same way you did last night because they know where the net is at that point. So you have to change it every night. And I thought that was really cool that it's not just like you can catch it really fast. You have to do for a little bit of work to get them. So I like that they're smart and they're hidden and nobody really talks about them. Most of the people in the city don't even know they live with bats because these bats live in houses. So it's just kind of cool species that nobody talks about.
Yeah, yeah. Especially the bats, it's a little scary because one is they come out in the night, and then because of the wings, they look really scary, and no one would want to kind of, even touch it or face it. Let me put it that way in terms of the animal per se. Yeah, that's really brave of you, I must say. Kudos to you on
Well,
that.
the bats here are pretty small. The bats here are pretty they're just as big as my little
Ah,
pinky.
okay,
They're
okay,
not the
and
bats in India where they're very big.
yeah, true, true. I mean, I can just visualize a cave in which there are a lot of bats hanging, and you go in and they're all like, this, they come out. Okay.
Yeah, it's I hope to work in that kind of environment where I'm dealing with bigger bats and caves and whatnot, but that's for the future now.
Yeah. How do you keep up with all this activities that goes on outside? Because it's all your work is basically outdoors, and you said you don't like to sit at a desk and work. So how do you face that challenge? How do you kind of get that motivation and inspiration to be out and work that hard to achieve something?
I'm not gonna lie, the first job I took where we were working all the time, I like the first week, me and my friend sat down and we were like, oh no, I don't know if I can get through this for a whole summer because it's pretty daunting to do it. Sorry. Yeah, but I think it was just having someone with you, which is with me was really nice. Me and my friend Laura were in it together and we were talking about all our problems and all the things. But you kind of get used to it and it becomes second nature to the point that you want to be outside all the time. And it just is a different feeling. Like I've never had a feeling of tiredness when I'm working outside because just you do it every day and it becomes what it is and you just feel more energized and you're constantly learning and constantly thinking and you come back, you have a nice restful night and then up and out again next day, just like any other job because it's repetition, right?
Very true. And you said you have finished your CBSE. You did your CBSE in Dubai. So that's
Yeah.
11th and 12th, right? Till up to 12th.
Yeah, up to 12.
And then you applied for this university where you are studying right now. Tell us something about your education.
Yeah, so I was in CBSE all through school, so all the way from KG all the way to 12. And at 12th grade, you were at that stop where, oh, where am I going to do? What am I going to do? So we went to a consultant who was specializing in studying abroad. I needed help trying to decide what kind of program to go into because I thought environmental science was my only option to go. And then we learned that there was forestry and many other like going into applied sciences. and whatnot. So I did a little research at home of what university seemed like a good fit for me. And I came across UBC, and their forestry program is one of like the top in the world, third in Canada. And I was pretty determined I wanted to get into UBC at that point, because you don't want to be in too less ranked school, because sometimes the education is not as good as what you'd need. So I kind of decided I needed to go into UBC, went into the consultant. The consultants didn't actually have links to UBC, but I kind of made sure they applied to UBC for me as well. And then we finally got our acceptance in May into UBC, and I came here, did forestry, and I've been doing that for 4.5 years. I took a few breaks in between to work, and I'm graduating now.
Congratulations for that. Looking forward to your pictures.
Thank you.
So, when you said you went to a consultant, you knew you wanted to do something in environmental science, or, something related to your passion where you are involved with animals and environment. So you told the consultant that this is going to be my option. And then based on that, he said, okay, this is possible. Environmental science is one stream, forestry is another stream, wildlife environment is another stream, or does forestry come within wildlife environment?
What I did is I went into each program's like course list and went through what they teach. And when I looked into UBC Forestry, they had a wildlife component where it was a 3rd-year course. It looked like a good overall understanding of the whole environment of a forest, rather than just focus on wildlife, because that I thought that would bring me too much of it into a little hole where I wouldn't have any other options but wildlife, and I wanted to keep it open and help myself decide later what I really wanted to do. So I think keeping everything broad a little bit in the beginning was just what I chose to do, but definitely you can go into a more specific niche if you're completely 100% sure this is where you want to go. But I think I'm pretty happy at how I started, because I have a little more better understanding of how the forest works, and there is a knowledge gap between foresters and biologists in Canada. So hopefully I'll get into that little gap and be able to work there, is what I want to do.
Okay, that's good to know. So, when you applied for your colleges, you had to apply through a consultant. You couldn't apply directly to these colleges.
I could apply directly, but there were a few safety colleges I was applying for that the consultant had links to. So they wanted us to apply through them, and they said they would do UBC as well. So it just looked like a pretty good deal, because usually with board exams, it is right at the time that you have to do the application. So my parents were pretty willing to let me do it through a consultant, because it just gave me more time to focus on the boards and get those grades. Because if you get into a university, you still have to keep your grades up as an international student. You have to get a certain grade to be able to continue going into that school. So didn't want to lose focus.
Yeah, that's true. So it gives you the time to focus on your studies and do well over there. Because that was my next question in terms of your 12th grades. Does it depend upon which university you get admitted or get accepted?
What happened for me is that we had the predicted scores that you submit to the UBC with your 11th grade. So the 11th grade does count. And then the predicted scores is what they look at, and they give you an offer, saying a conditional offer. If you get this kind of percentage in your final exams, then you can come into the university. And so the 12th grade the final board exam does matter in terms of completing the contract. But what they initially look for is 11th grade and the pre-boards and the predicted.
Okay, can you just give us some more information about this predictor you said, right? Or predict X? What is it?
In Dubai, where in Averon and all of those kind of schools, you're able to go to each teacher of each subject, and they write down what they predict your score would be for your final board exams. And then you get that signed, sealed from your school, and you submit it. But I don't know if it's necessary for most places, but I know that they do ask for it.
Okay, that's interesting to know. And why did you choose Canada? Or what is Canada the only place or universities where you can learn the subject of your choice?
No, I've seen a lot of universities in Europe that have amazing programs as well, and Australia. I personally wanted to go either Australia or Canada because I want to go into that kind of environment, and that's what I wanted to do. But there's programs in Bulgaria that I've seen that had pretty good courses, and Australia, yes. There is a forestry school in India that I've seen, but I'm not too sure how it ranks overall. There is schools in China, but most students from China do exchange programs into Canada. So I would just go straight to Canada if it was me. And then there's US. US has a lot of schools, and I know Spain has a few schools as well. But yeah, there's definitely other options out there. Canada was just a choice for me.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense. And you mentioned about India as well?
Yeah, there is a forestry school, I believe, in Bangalore. I we have a friend who is studying there.
Okay.
And yeah, I'm not too sure how it is, but I know there is a school there.
Even before you start with the application, do you also need to give some exams like the English exam or a French exam? I don't know.
Yeah, you do the IELTS or the TOEFL, so you have to do one of those, but that's not really a university requirement more than a visa requirement. For Canada, you need that exam to be able to apply for a study permit itself. So the IELTS is like a 50-50 on both, it's not really a university requirement because even if you don't have such a good grade in IELTS, there is Vantage College in UBC that admits you and they teach you English for a year so you can better learn for the next few years. So there is ways around it, but IELTS is definitely a exam you have to take for Canada.
Okay. And what about TOEFL? You also mentioned TOEFL?
Yeah, I think those are the two options you have. I did IELTS because that's what we had in Dubai available and easier. And IELTS I've heard is a little more easier than TOEFL as well.
Okay, so you can either do IELTS or TOEFL. It's not necessary to do both.
Yeah, it's just one of them.
Okay, and both are English proficiency tests.
Yeah.
Okay, okay. And then you kind of, once you get the conditional offer, you finish your exams, 12th exams, you get your grades, and then you send them all the details and they accept you and give you a confirmed admission.
Yeah. And you can apply for your visa with your conditional offer, I think. I think we still can.
Okay, okay. Sounds interesting. And you said your course is about 4.5 years, right?
Yeah, so if you don't work, it's 4 years, but there is a co-op program where you take breaks between your study where you can get work experience. Again, it's not a placement, it is you have to apply for a job and get the job. And so it's pretty much like a normal workforce environment where you get that experience of writing a resume, writing cover letters, doing interviews, but you have the support of the university coordinators who will give you feedback and help you and prepare you for that. So I took that option because I wanted to come out of university with some work experience and also have some money when I come out. So I had a it's usually 5, but if you plan it well enough, you can make it 4.5.
Okay, yeah, that's good. I mean, it's always good to have the theoretical knowledge and apply to the practical world so that you get a
Mhm.
balance or a mix of both by the time you
Yeah.
finish your graduation. So
Yeah, I
what's gonna
definitely do appreciate that I took that few months or a year off to do work because I've learned more working than I have in school sometimes. And unless you do it practically, it doesn't stick in your head and it gives you a better, like, how everything works kind of knowledge. So it's definitely something I appreciated.
Yeah, true. I always believe that education is like the base, the foundation, and it'll give you all the knowledge that you need. But when you put it into practice, the practical approach is more about applying that knowledge, and you learn a lot on the practical approach as well, because not everything gets covered as part of education or other, as part of the theory.
Someone who's mentoring me right now is Gary Merkel, and he likes to say that education is a discipline. It rather like teaches you how to be disciplined and how to bring the best out of yourself and learn rather than actually making you prepared. So work and study has to go hand in hand.
Yeah, absolutely. What is next for you? What's the next thing for you?
For me, I am just currently looking for job opportunities. I'm trying to go international out of Canada to work in a different environment, learn new things about other bat species around the world is what I'm gearing to right now. And I'm applying to a few jobs in the US and in Africa, whichever comes to me. What is meant for me will come to me. And after that, I'm trying to figure out a way to. There's a professor in my school who works with the city and does research that is for the city for urban animals. So I'm trying to figure out a way to get to that kind of position where I can work for the city and also do research at the same time, because I love doing research and I enjoy making that organization and making plans and stuff like that. So, and also being able to research so many different species would just be the best thing for me. And so that's what I'm working towards right now. I'm trying to get a meeting with her, sit down, figure out how she got to her position, and then make a little path for myself to get there.
That's good. Yeah, mentors play a major role in, giving you a direction and telling you what to do next because they've already had that kind of experience and the lessons learned, which they can impart to their students. That's good. And in terms of the curriculum that you said about 4.5 years, so it covers all the subjects that you really need to know when it gets into with the view that what you want to do or the end goal.
Yeah. Well, for me, if I was continuing in forestry, like traditional forestry, where you're out in the field doing logging practices, the UBC forestry program is definitely gearing you for the best way forward. And just because I'm taking a non-traditional route through it, it's a little different, where if I had gone into a more wildlife course, it would have been more beneficial, but it'll work out its way. There's always volunteering you can do to get that experience and that knowledge. So I'm not too worried about it right now.
True, true, true. Now it's more for you for a learning phase and gaining that experience and being like a sponge who absorbs all the knowledge.
Yeah, for sure. I like the position that I got with bad research itself is all through volunteering. I just had a lot of volunteering experience that translated enough for the master students to think that I would be able to do the job. So it's just trying to figure out what you want to do, how you think of a way to get there, try to gain as much of experience you can in that field so that you can get a job in there. So that's what I'm trying to do right now.
Yeah, that's good. I'm just thinking, because you kept mentioning about this volunteering opportunities. I don't know if there's anything like this in India. Let's leave aside forestry or environmental science, but even with respect to the other domains or other lines of studies, is there like a volunteering
Mhm.
opportunity? Do you know, I mean, do any of your friends who have information about volunteering opportunities in any field, as a matter of fact?
Well, I think in India, volunteering it counts as internships is what I'm thinking they call it there. Here, like internships is a little different because it's paid, so they call it volunteering. But I do know someone from my school who came from India, and he has volunteered a lot in parks in India. So I'm pretty sure you can. Um, it's more of talking to the right people, trying to figure out who the person is that and that's what you want to do, trying to talk to them, trying to figure out if you can even go a few days in like free and just get that experience, right? Like all volunteering is not really posted. It's more of going and finding out that them and then just trying to get all the knowledge you can from them.
That's true. Yeah, that's like, yeah, true. Internship and volunteering, they are two different things. That's yeah. Do you use any kind of tools or technology in your research work and reporting? Because you mentioned about data and analyzing the data. So just touch upon some of the
Yeah.
tools or any research techniques that you use.
Usually I use the UBC library, but when that's not available, it's Google Scholar that I use a lot of because they have pretty good navigation into the topics you want. And there is a connecting papers, I think that's the website name, where if you put a topic in, it will show you in a histogram kind of thing all the papers that have similar topics, and it'll show like the degrees of similarity to that paper and not. So it's kind of nice to see like other fields of study in that small topic. So that's what I mainly use. And then usually for analysis, it's R Studios, and Excel is what we use in forestry at least.
Okay, and you don't need to have any kind of programming knowledge or anything like that. You're just pushing the data into these tools, and then based on the reports that is generated, you're analyzing the data.
Well, for R Studio, you do need a little bit of coding experience, and usually in university, they do give you that background. They have courses geared to teach you how to do R. But usually in a master's level, you get into doing your own research paper, and that's when you learn how to actually fully code on your own. Yeah, it's again just practical knowledge. You got to be there to learn it.
Yeah, good. Anything else that you want to tell the new generation out here? Any tips, tricks, secrets that you want to share?
What you like as a child is usually what makes you happy in the future, because when you're a child, things about money and keeping your family happy is not existent. So a lot of people have told me this, and like even when I'm thinking about the future, they've told me like you have to just rely on that child and that dream that you had and trying to focus on it and not get distracted by many other things around you. Rather just think about your overall happiness, because that's what's going to help you and other people around you. Because if you're miserable, other people are going to see that and they're going to be miserable for you. That, and just take it a step at a time. It's not the end of the world. There'll be other things.
True, very true, very true. Rightly said, Tabitha. I'm so glad we could talk, and I could put a face to the name, and I could meet Vinu's daughter, who he always talks about. Even when we were there, when he was here in Dubai, we used to talk about you, in a general conversation, obviously, in that my daughter is doing this, and that's what intrigued me. I said, "Oh my God, environment, wildlife, forestry. I've never heard of anybody picking up these subjects." So it's nice to see that you're following your passion, and good luck for it.
Thank you so much. No, thank you for this opportunity. I love sharing a story and telling people, inspiring them. I'm glad to be a part of it.
Thank you. In case I need any kind of information or help with the admissions or university names or things like that, do you mind if I reach out to you?
No, no problem at all. I've done that before for some alumni in my some other school students who are in my room right now. They've contacted me, so no, I'm available if anybody needs some help. Just gearing it through that.
Sure, sure. Thank you so much. Thank you.